All right, thank you for joining us on today's news review. Of course, as always, we give you the top stories making headlines. My name is Diana Mbogwa, and today I'm joined by Mr. Elijah Mwangi. Thank you for joining us. And among the many stories that we'll be looking at is, how the economy is looking like. Mr. Elijah, we've seen last week the top chief of KRA, John Njiraini, was trying to explain, why the economy is looking the way it is, as well as, the president trying to seek, the anxiety on what is happening to the economy. Maybe you can give us details on what exactly is happening.
The debate on the state of the economy continues. Now I think this is the third week.
Yes.
Things are really looking a bit gloomy. And now the latest is that there's massive tax hike looming. As the CS for National Treasury, this is Henry Rotich, he's trying to seek 64 billion. This is the kind of deficit that there is. And so the government is trying to get all the ways that it can use to raise this amount. So how does a treasury plan to bridge this kind of deficit? Now they are raiding on Kenyans' pockets by increasing taxes. This is why we are talking of the tax hike. And the most affected is the sin taxes. Talking of the sin taxes in quotes, we are looking at things like beer. Now 100 per litre will be charged on beer. Initially it was 70 shillings. We see cigarettes will be taxed at a uniform rate of 2 shillings 50 cents per stick. Previously they attracted 1 shilling and 20 cents duty on the 35% of the retail price. Then we also have other departments, or rather other sectors that have been affected, like the motor vehicle industry. And it's very interesting, Diana, to see that in the motor vehicle industry, those people that will really suffer those that are importing these second-hand kind of vehicles, the ex-Japan vehicles. Those will be taxed. In fact, to be very specific with facts and figures here, they are talking of a 200,000 excise duty will be charged on all imported vehicles more than 3 years old from the date of manufacture. So these are some of the ways that now the National Treasury is trying to seek money to bridge this deficit. But this comes even as the president, that is Uhuru Kenyatta, and remember yesterday, that is Sunday, he was speaking to a congregation, and he told people, relax. Kenya is safe in terms of things, economy, and we cannot stop people from opposition, members of opposition rather, talking about this matter. So a very interesting twist. On the other hand, one is saying, relax, we are safe. But then the National Treasury now notifies the IMF, this is the International Monetary Fund, about the Kenya cash crisis, as now we need we need money, and this is how we are going to bridge the deficit. So that's the latest from my end.
Well, the Treasury says that he was comparing these situations to a turbulence, when an aeroplane is 40,000 meters high. And he says, you don't jump, but the cabin crew will tell passengers to fasten their belts. So this is, what he's likening it, this situation of, the whole crisis but I think it's going to be okay. I'm not sure, but let's see with time. Of course they have a plan.
They have my worry, Diana, is we now agree that we are in crisis because there's 64 billion which must be met. Of course, we have the avenues and other sources of cash, as indicated, including 5 billion from income tax, 3 billion from improved customs collection, and all that. But we are looking for this money, and if we just go back and see how we've been spending the money as Kenyans, and I'm talking specifically of the political class, look at the members of county assemblies. We've been having massive corruption at the county level. So I think we are just, the chicken have come home to roost.
Do you think that the opposition is right to say we are overspending, we are overborrowing, we are overstealing? That's what they said. Do you think they're right to say that?
At one point, they are justified. This is my honest opinion. As long as we are saying they are just trying to make themselves relevant and all that, we saw Musalia Mudavadi yesterday saying that, In fact, if Henry Rotich, that is the CS of National Treasury, if he's not in a position to manage this economy, let us do the job for them, because you remember he's a former finance minister during the Kanu's regime. But as people would look at that as just, strategies to seek political mileage and all that, looking at the massive corruption scandals that we've been talking about here in the media, and this is not the first time we're talking of massive corruption in the counties. You remember about the wheelbarrows, you remember about the cuttings in Meru, the gate in Nyamira, the foreign trips, the local trips from the counties and all that. We've been using a lot of money, and we cannot be in a position to account that. So when opposition says that, you know what, we are overstealing, it could be we are overstealing. It's like stealing is a lesser evil. It's not good, but what they are trying to say is that, I mean, we've been doing a lot of things the wrong way, and we need to change. And just on a light note, there's someone who said, if Kenyans, especially the political class, if they just stole half of what they steal now, we could be miles and miles ahead in terms of the state of economy. I don't know.
They may be right, who knows? Because, the people will say, if you're in the government, you're a rich person, no need for you to worry. Everyone wants to get into the government because that's where the money apparently is. But, of course, you can always send us your feedback concerning this. Our SMS line is 20058. Now, moving on, Mr. Elijah.
Yes.
We're looking at hate speech. There's hate speech.
Oh, yes.
We've had, Kabogo and talking about the former Premier Raila Odinga with a lot of, hate speech. Yeah, do you have the details on that?
The probe on Kabogo's hate speech, has started. Yes. And we have the NCIC, this is the National Cohesion Integration Commission, and it has said it has received the video that has that clip of Kabogo, giving those funny remarks, if I may call them so. Yeah. So we are here to see fresh investigations taking place, but I've always had a problem with the way NCIC and the office of the DPP conducts these investigations. And this is the main reason why I'm saying this. Kabogo is not the first in line. Yes. Remember, in the recent past, we've had George Aladwa, this is the chairman of ODM, at one point saying that come 2017, we are not taking chances, and if things get bad, let them get to the extreme. We had, remember, the vocal Moses Kuria, the friend, people have even nicknamed him the friend of the court, because, he's so familiar with the corridors of justice. Then we have the political analyst, Mutahi Ngunyi, who was also caught on the other side of the law in terms of hate speech. And Kabogo, his remarks, this is not news. Let's start from there. Yes. But my worry is, when will we see some of these cases seeing light at the end of the day? I mean, justice, because it's on tape. Kabogo giving a lot of remarks concerning the former premier, that is Raila Odinga. So if he's left scot-free, the same case with now Moses Kuria, we are still talking of investigation, regardless of the fact that we've had, those remarks on tape. I wonder when will justice prevail. But just off the curve a bit, I've also had a problem with the way the media is covering this hate speech. I've always thought that when one goes to public, maybe it's a public forum, and says something that can really, cause a lot of chaos, and in some defamatory or derogatory or some of these remarks that can really cause violence, he or she should be given blackout. That's what I've always thought as a journalist. At one point, as a member of the fourth estate, if I go to cover someone and then he abuses someone, I better not put that there.
So it's like they're trying to, let this be heard.
Yes,
so that
I'm watching the bulletins from the mainstream media, and they are all over airing what Kabogo is saying, and you are left wondering, will this do more good or harm? Well, this is not the first time. Even George Aladwa.
The rule that, what bleeds leads. So of course, when you
it can sell, but it can sell. I don't disagree with that fact. But remember what happened in 2007, 2008. Yes, exactly. Media was really blamed because of really causing a lot of violence. When you start reporting how people are being killed in some specific places in this country, what you are basically likely to cause is some retaliatory attacks in some other places. So one, I think as the members of the fourth estate, we should be very careful on what we are airing. If it's something that really will cause a lot of chaos because people have heard, I think we better just take it to the relevant authority and let justice prevail. Because this is Kabogo. You watch a bulletin and you see Kabogo's message clear. The same case with Aladwa, Mudhama, it's censored. And again, you are wondering,
but you know,
is
I
the
think
application of double
also
standards?
another side of the story. You know, it's not only what effect it's going to have, you know, in terms of creating chaos, but also informing people. Probably these are the leaders that you chose, and this is the kind of leaders that you know you chose. They're not. They have this capability of saying such things and. You know, it also helps in terms of looking forward in the future on are we going to elect the same people again?
I get where you're coming from, Diana, and I think it's the high time we know where to draw the line.
Yeah.
And it's a very thin line between kind of getting the leaders to a point of being accountable of what they say, and also kind of, remember, media can also be used as a tool to bring people together. So at this point, you are not using media as a tool to bring people together. We've decided to go with accountability way. So I think we need to do a kind of a cost benefits analysis so that we can see what exactly are we gaining by airing some of these remarks versus getting these leaders into a point of accountability, because at point of accountability, the trend continues. Moses Kuria round 1, Moses Kuria round 2, we got to political analyst Mutahi Ngunyi, George Aladwa. Now it's Kabogo. Who's
trend.
next? It's a trend.
Yeah. Tell us what you think. Is Kabogo or any other person for that matter justified, you know, to speak such words? Our SMS line is 20058. Our Twitter handle at WTVKE and our Facebook page WTV Kenya. We'll take a short break, but we'll be right back with more.